Pantry provides healthy food and support for local families in need. You can help by donating food or volunteering. Visit franklinfoodpantry.org or call 508-528-3115. That's 508-528-3115. A broadcasting outreach of Franklin.tv. You're listening to WFPR-LP, Franklin on 102.9 FM. And worldwide, anywhere, anytime at WFPR.FM. Thanks for being with us.
Okay, good. Welcome, everybody, to the October 3rd, 2022 Planning Board. This meeting is audio and video recorded. It's also on Zoom, and the Zoom call-in number is 312-626-6799. And the meeting number is 843-109-17600. I guess we'll take up general business first. First line item would be a field change for Bogan Estates. Amy, if you could give us a quick preview, please, from Department of Planning.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think they were here at the last meeting requesting that the trees that were originally on the plans, now the lots have been sold on the private property, that they be exempt from planting the trees. I think the board had kind of recommended if they could come up with some sort of planting maybe some of the trees and maybe some providing to DPW. The applicant has provided an email on what he was working on, and I do believe he's in here tonight.
I guess, let's go to I want to go to the applicant first, if we could. I see in your email that you could plant some of the trees, but not all of them.
I talked to some of the,
If you want to approach the mic, please. Just give your name and address, please,
yeah,
as well.
Mike Bogan, 10 Bogan Way. I did talk to the two residents on the front as you come in, on the right and the left. So Tyler Peabody and Tony, and they agreed. They said, you know, it's fine if we plant some trees there. I'd prefer not to spend the money because I know, you know, if they want the trees, that's fine. You know, as far as if we do that, it's a dead-end street. It'll still have curb appeal, you know what I mean, to have the trees there. Going further down by the Perez house and our house, we really don't want the trees. No one should be going down that far anyway. I'm sure once they get down and realize it's a dead end, they're gonna be turning around in Tyler's driveway like they usually do and leave, so.
Approximately how many trees you thinking you'd be able to get in? Maybe,
About half.
oh, about half?
Yeah, about
Okay.
4 or 5 on each side. I counted the stakes the other day, so.
Okay.
There was
Okay.
23 total or something like that, so,
Was it 23, 24, Mike?
something like that.
I don't have the exact
Okay,
count.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it was-
thereabouts. Okay,
So it's about half.
okay. I guess I'll go to the board. Does the board have anybody have any comments, questions
I
first?
have a quick question. I took a ride up there today, and I like the idea of the front entrance. The trees that you're thinking on planting, approximately how far apart would they be?
They were the stakes were put from barrows per the drawings. I didn't measure.
I didn't even notice. the
Yeah,
stake.
they're, if you go back from the sidewalk into people's private property there, they have yellow flags on the, orange flags on the stakes, and they wrote tree on the stakes.
Okay, okay. And I'm fine with that, and I agree with you about going farther down in the cul-de-sac. Are you going to put a sign up saying dead end?
Yeah, that's part of the plans.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
okay.
Rick?
I think that's a happy medium. I think it'll dress up the front entrance and shield it from the street a little bit.
Okay.
I don't see the need, especially if there's no support from the people that live in
Yeah, I
the
agree with
residence.
Okay.
Put it on a.
What about the rest of the trees that were called out for? What do you think? Not to put you on the spot, but, I mean, you're halfway there.
Well, if like our regs say, if
It's
you,
part of the plan.
yeah,
We should.
Would you be okay with donating the balance of the tree funds to to the tree warden for
If
the
I
tree
have to,
fund?
to be honest with you, I'd rather not. You know,
What-
it's like 10, 12 grand. I already donated over $10,000 to the town before, when I was putting in the road, you know, initially subdividing it. So, you know, and then we're putting in the curb, just like as requested, the granite curbing. You know, you look at the back, I keep the, I just had the landscapers come out last week and keep that whole, back area that's gonna be owned by the town for the retention pond. That's all clear, you know what I mean? Because I have put a gazebo up at the end of the road there on the corner of my property, so.
Yeah, well, just the curbing alone is just part of our regulations anyways, but, I'm sorry, you had a question about?
Through the chair, just, I understand that he'd rather not put in the trees. However, it is part of our subdivision regulations, and it was approved that way. So if you're not going to put in the remainder of the trees, that will require a modification to your subdivision approval, which requires you to come back to the board for that. So I would say either we require the trees, which I think at the last meeting I indicated if they're not gonna be supported by the residents, that it's private property and they're just gonna take them down, then the money should be put into a fund. So if we're asking the applicant if he's okay with it, I think it's more, are we okay with it?
I wanna
So,
get everybody's, I
you
just
know.
wanna make sure that, I don't wanna set a precedent here, so I just think that if you put 10 trees in or 12 trees, the balance just goes into DPW to a tree fund, and we call it a day. And I want it specifically 4 trees and nothing else but for the town, wherever they're planted, okay? If it goes into the fund, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I spoke to DPW director today about it also, and he's also the tree warden, and we've done this in the past on other projects where
Correct.
they made a contribution to a tree fund and would plant trees elsewhere in town.
Okay. I just wanna make
Within
sure
the
it's
public right-of-way.
specifically for the trees, because he's putting the money up for
Yes.
it, so I wanna make sure it goes to that specifically, that's all.
Does that relieve him of having to do a modified site plan?
He won't, no,
Change to the site plan?
Woody, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it satisfies our requirement for needing to put the trees in. If he puts the 12 in and they're showing the plan, just as long as we can, he'll have to come back for the release of.
Yeah, fine, like it's
Yeah,
final as-bills will
to
show
show
it, yeah.
that those trees were put in.
Yeah, that's-
And maybe make a note on the final as-built plan that the balance of the trees would to be put in specifically to the
Yeah.
DPW, so we know where they went, per se.
And I would assume that would be done as previous to trying to turn over the streets of
Correct.
town at that point,
Correct.
too.
But make sure there's a note, at least on the drawing, so we know where they went, just in case, if we can do that.
Mr. Chairman, I think it could be reflected on the as-bills that would need to, but when they close it out too, and then when they do the final street acceptance and closure of the project, then I think it can reflect it there also.
Just so everyone else down the road sees
Paper
that
trail.
it went somewhere, yes, okay? Okay, so I guess you're all set then, we'll just take that road right there,
Yeah.
okay? Thank you.
Motion?
Excuse
Make
me?
a
Oh,
motion.
sorry.
Do you want me to make a motion, maybe?
Yep.
Make a motion to allow the applicant to plant 12 trees at the entrance on the left and right of the subdivision, Bogan Estates, and the remainder of the trees that were previously approved in the subdivision, the funds to be donated to the street tree account for DPW planting in, whenever they see fit.
Okay, good. All in favor? A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item would be general discussion for 585 King Street. Amy, or the applicant
Sure.
wants to,
We'll
we'll go to Amy first.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant had reached out to me and submitted a request that two of the special conditions of approval be modified. So he's here tonight to discuss with the board. This is just for discussion purposes tonight. He would need to file a formal special permit and site plan modification to allow any changes to his special permit. So this is for a discussion between the board and the applicant tonight.
Okay, good.
You, the applicant present.
Good evening. So there was two conditions we wanted to discuss. One was on the Mass DOT permit. The condition stated that the permit need to be issued before a building permit could be issued. We had asked if that could be modified so that, as part of the certificate of occupancy for the building, we would have to complete the roadway work as well. The Mass DOT permit just takes a long time to get through, and we don't, we'd like to start the project prior to being fully completed with the permitting, but we'll complete the work in the street prior to turning over the building. So that was one item. The second one was the hours of operation. There was a restriction as part of the conditions that stated that the hours of operation were 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. That, from a leasing and tenant perspective, is very restricting. We're very concerned about finding tenants that would be open to those restrictions. So we'd asked if that condition could be removed, and as part of that, we'd be comfortable requiring that no trucks take a right-hand turn leaving the site after a designated time. I believe we put 9 or 10 p.m. So,
Okay. Josh, just give your name and
yeah, so I'm Josh Berman, the applicant. I'm with Marcus Partners.
thank you.
Thanks.
I guess I'll go to the board if anybody has any comments first. Questions, comments, ideas?
Question to the applicant, through the chair. If the company were to operate, the tenant were to operate overnight, essentially, would that mean they would be operating within the building itself, or there would be truck traffic even within the parking lot, sort of backup alarms, that type of thing happening?
Yeah, so because we do not have a tenant, we're building this on spec, it's hard for me to say, but in general, the way it works is that these are typically, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. is when the trucking's happening, and they're doing sorting in the facility overnight. So that's the typical kind of operation of the building.
Sorting and loading?
Within inside the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So within the footprint of the building?
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question. Going to what Jen was saying, I thought we talked at the last meeting that the hours of operation 5 to 11 were fine with absolutely no truck traffic coming or going after 11. Operating within the building is fine. As you were saying about having a restriction of no right-hand turn, I say 9 o'clock, not 10, to take a right-hand turn out of the facility. And I think multiple signs and large signs need to be put in place along the driveway with some kind, with some good wording of strictly enforced, no right-hand turn for any trucker to take a right-hand turn.
Okay, yeah, well, we spoke of that the last time. I think just to signify as the trucks are leaving that they understand and the tenant understands that they can't take that right turn after 9 p.m. And just maybe different color sign with different color lettering or something, just so it stands out so they fully understand it, if we can go down that road, okay?
Through the
And
chair.
Jen, you have?
Just to add on to that, 5 a.m. is also super early. Would we consider restrictions on the front end as well, potentially? I don't know from a tenant perspective how that would work, but from a neighbor perspective, even 6 a.m. would be better, 7 a.m. would be better versus 5.
You got a good point, but sadly, I get woken up at 4:30 in the morning by the train horn, so
Well, that's also.
I don't know how much a truck is gonna do, so.
I wanted to know who to go through.
Yeah, so, I don't know, trucks, I don't think would be coming in that way at 5. I think they'd be coming in off the highway, I know you don't know at this point because you don't know who you have, so.
And I think if you look at our traffic report, it was 95, 96, 90% of the trucking will be coming off the highway. Yeah.
Yeah, we just can't have them leaving, taking a right, going through the neighborhoods. We need to really be on top of protecting our neighbors as much as you do with that. And like I said, I think 9 o'clock would be the latest. I think 10 o'clock would be just a little bit on the late side.
Okay. Beth, you had a question?
Yeah, well, more of a comment, I guess.
Sure.
I think, you know, if we're going to look into this, asking the applicant to come back to do this modification of the special permit with this condition, that, you know, I hope we're reasonable, you know, in letting this applicant try to lease their space and not restrict the ability, and yes, obviously having concern for neighbors, but this applicant did work with us to redesign the building and flip it around so the loading docks aren't near the residents, you know, access to the highway. I think that they've done a lot to kind of appease and help us meet some needs of the residents. Reducing right-hand turn to 9 o'clock, you know, I don't think 10 o'clock is too unreasonable. I think there's a lot of noise on the highway too.
Yeah, true.
You know, just keeping in mind that this building needs to be operational too, and the more restrictions you put on for turning or hours of operations for a facility that we did approve, just keeping that in mind. And I think we can work with them. I think they're willing
Sure.
here to work with us, that I hope we can be reasonable and come up with a good solution.
Sure.
And also, how do we enforce it? How do we
Well-
enforce a truck not turning right at 10 PM?
We're
You know,
we're gonna ask
Yeah.
the town for help on that too, because, you know, I think this facility will help the town in its infrastructure and tax
Absolutely.
base. So I think a
Right.
little help on other departments will be beneficial at least, so. Jay, did you have any question or comment? No? So basically, it sounds like 3 shifts can be operational.
Sure.
Trucking, as we spoke of, just that right-hand turn going through that residential is a critical path that we gotta really be cognizant of, okay? And we gotta make sure that you guys follow it and your tenant follows it, because we don't want you back for a modification of your special permit, because you won't get the answers you're gonna wanna hear, okay? So I think you'd be in decent shape. Amy, did you have anything?
No, I just, for clarification, are you, not setting the hours of operation, eliminate them, but put in the no right turn on the 10 PM is what you're
Correct.
recommending?
Correct.
Okay, okay,
And we would be
And-
fine with the 9 PM.
you'd be fine.
That helps.
I'll refer to the board.
And I also wanna make sure that, when he gets his permitting for the Mass DOT, that it's prior to C of O, not building permit, because that's a long process that he can't do anything, and it involves improving that intersection. So I wanna make sure that that's all squared away prior to C of O, not building permit, that's all.
And the reason I brought that up is we're going through the state, we're going through the MEPA process, and they have reviewed these plans through the MEPA process and, you know, ordered a scope of work for the Mass DOT permit, so they've reviewed it multiple times already.
I just don't want Mass DOT holding this up for any unforeseen reason while they still can be building the whole infrastructure and the building itself. You okay with that?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, my only comment would be, it makes sense to have those, that the off-site improvements be completed before certificate of occupancy, as
Right.
opposed to obviously, the process to construct them will take a while too. I think they can be, both construction projects can happen concurrently.
Yep. Okay.
Hey, check on too.
Yep. Okay. Somebody, Gary J. has his hand raised?
No, that's my mouse.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Gary J., I guess, doesn't have any questions. I guess
So I should.
Gary
should-
doesn't have any questions either. Okay, so I think you know where you're gonna
Does-
take this.
The planning board, requesting that he, they find that this is more of a major modification, that he does file through the, public hearing process? Or would it be a minor modification that the board determines?
I would call it a minor, but, you know,
Agreed.
I would consider this a minor. How do you feel?
I defer to the board.
Okay,
Sure.
so minor.
Would the board like to take a vote tonight?
Sure.
Make a motion. Make a motion to remove special condition number 5, hours of operation. Is that correct?
Yeah, but this is
With-
general business though, Amy.
Mhm.
Can we vote on this like this?
If you're determined that this is a minor
Make a
modification,
motion that this is a minor modification that
Yeah.
does not require a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Then make a motion to remove special condition number 5, hours of operation, 5 AM to 11 PM. And make-
Signing.
yep, signage will be added. Trucks are prohibited from making a right-hand turn after, what did we decide?
9 PM.
9 PM. And what's the third one?
The Mass DOT permitting that has to be.
revision to condition number 1 to read,
Prior
issuance
to
of
CFO.
occupancy permit instead of building permit.
Correct.
That makes sense?
Yep.
What Amy said.
Yep.
Second.
Anything else? No? Okay.
I think so.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next item for general business would be the meeting minutes. If everybody's read the meeting minutes from August 22nd, if there's any additions, deletions. If not, make a motion to approve meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And also, we have meeting minutes from September 12th. If there's any additions or deletions, if not, make a motion to approve. All in favor?
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and next item would be a public hearing, continuation for 175 East Central Street, Franklin Ford. If the applicants want to give the name and address, company, please?
Great, good morning, great. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Edward Cannon on behalf of Franklin Ford, along with Rick Gaudreau from United Consultants, Bob Breen from Franklin Ford. And we're just going through some final plan revisions, and Rick can take you through those, and hopefully that will do it.
Rick, if you want to lead us the way.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. We did have a peer review letter from Beta Group, as well as the town engineer Mike Maglio and town planner Amy Love. I believe we've addressed all of the questions in the Beta review. Certainly defer to Mr. Gary James with respect to that. Just some highlights of some of the changes we made. Really had to do with some of the site grading and some of the drainage structures, and just kind of buttoning up those last few comments. But one other big item that was discussed was with respect to the site lighting. We did go back, talk with the light company, and they have come up with a scenario where they could back shield those lights, and we've reduced the foot candles to just under 17 for a max in around the Chestnut Street area, and I believe the maximum spillage onto the sidewalk now is 0.3 foot candles, and most of it is right around 0.1. So we have made those changes. I can certainly walk through the peer review letters if the board would prefer, but I do think everything's been addressed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I'll go to Gary from Beta. You want to give us a rundown?
Well,
please?
thank you. Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Rick said, they pretty much have addressed everything, and like he also said, the biggest issue was when you look at the lighting, they went from maximum foot candles, like almost 50-foot candles, maximum intensity of almost 50-foot candles down to, like you said, about 20-something. So when you look at the overall spillage out into Chestnut Street, it's not that bad. It's pretty close to what we've seen in terms of other sites that we've allowed that little bit of a spillage out into the public way. Other than that, all of the stormwater improvements have been made. We pretty much have maximized our ability to be able to pick up and treat everything coming off of the site. We are within the limits of the Water Resource District. The head wall was moved back behind the limits of the 50-foot buffer, so we pretty much maximized that. So I agree with Rick. We pretty much have addressed all of the comments that we had made in the original, and I'll hand it back to the chair.
Okay, thank you. Go to Amy really quick if you, from
Yeah,
Department of
thank you,
Planning.
Mr. Chairman. I think, at the last meeting, the biggest concern was that light spillage that Rick has addressed, tonight with the board. There are, 3 waivers that they did request, if the board chooses to make a decision tonight to review the waivers. Currently, I had talked about a special condition for a review after 6 months. I'm not sure if the board still is considering that or not, since they have made changes to the light spillage. So I'll let the board just make that decision.
Okay. And then will, Mike, if you can comment from DPW, if you could, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, now, all our previous comments have been addressed. We have no outstanding issues with the current site plan.
Okay. So I just, before I go to the rest of the board, I just want to confirm one thing. Rick, this last set of drawings incorporates all changes that were made, because we didn't see it the last time. We had some back and forth, what was to be done or not. So this last set covers everything.
Correct. So this set of drawings that was submitted to the board a couple weeks ago was what was presented to Beta as well, which is the
Okay.
basis of all these latest peer reviews. So those previous drawings were merely for discussion with snow storage areas and things
okay.
of that nature, but this
I-
is the final set.
Thank you. Okay, I guess I'll go to the board first. Anybody have any question, comment? Jay, Jen?
Through the
Jen?
chair. And apologies, I wasn't at the last meeting, but it doesn't look like it was covered. Anyway, unless I'm misreading the plans, it doesn't look like there's any vegetation being proposed on Chestnut Street, dividing the parking lot and the parking lot expansion in particular from Chestnut Street and the sidewalk, or am I misreading the plans?
I actually asked, because I knew you did, there is some, but they couldn't carry it all the way through because where the current sidewalk is.
Yeah,
I
just
believe you're
couldn't-
meeting, it's a hardscape, so I think half of it got landscaping.
Just couldn't read it on at least the latest set of plans.
Am I correct in saying that, Rick?
Yeah, so the planting plan showing some low vegetation proposed where the parking lot expansion will take place, where the property acquisition is located. But currently, the pavement now comes to the back of sidewalk on the parking lot that currently exists for Franklin Ford, and that will remain. But we are proposing trees along here and vegetation and a mulch bed along that frontage.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't find it on the set of plans. So thank you for clarifying. When you say low vegetation, what is, what are you proposing?
So, we were proposing some inkberry, creeping juniper, Russian sage, and sedum plantings.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, good. Rick, you, comment, question? Willie?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank
Beth?
you.
Yep, just, are you still proposing to turn off the lights at a particular time? And what time would that be?
An hour after we close at 8 o'clock.
So 9 o'clock?
And the only lights that would remain are by the doors attached to the building, just for safety.
Yep.
Okay.
So all of your, your pole lights would shut off?
to the board, what's your thought with the 6-month? Now that they've readdressed the lighting, I think would be okay.
Yeah, I don't think we need it.
And if there is an issue, we know we can find you, basically.
Yeah, I don't think
Don't
that's-
necessarily know that they need to formally come back, but if there
Yeah,
is an
but if there
issue
is an
or
issue, we can
somebody,
address it.
yeah,
Yep.
that you
So-
guys would, I'm sure, be more than willing to come back for a discussion.
Okay. So, I make a motion to,
We have
oops,
somebody
sorry.
in the audience.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who?
There's a gentleman in the audience.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Catalano, you have any comment? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Yep. So I make a motion to close the hearing for 175 East Central Street, Franklin Ford.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I also, yeah, I actually went, I'm gonna close it, we're gonna vote on it tonight. We don't typically do that, but where we got everything condensed, we'll just take care of it tonight, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So,
Would you like me to make a motion on the waivers, Mr. Chairman?
yep, if you could, please.
Sure. Let's see. Make a motion for the following waivers: to allow less than 42 inches of cover over the RCP drain pipe, proposed Class 5 RCP. To the use of HDPE pipe for the, roof drain manifold and pond 1, to allow minimal light spillage on Chestnut Street right away.
Do you hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And then we'll do a roll call vote. And Beth, if you could read us, one more time? Oh, yeah, you wanna do the conditions? Yep, my fault.
All right, that's right.
Go to general conditions.
General condition or special permit conditions, make a motion that, all lights will remain on, will be wall pack lights with, pole lights shutting off 1 hour after closing time at 9 PM. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any others?
Okay.
Was that it?
I believe that was it, right? Yep, okay.
All right, we'll,
If you could read the roll call vote, please.
Sorry.
All right.
All right, make a motion for the special permit to allow, under Chapter 185, Attachment 3, Part 2, 2.6A, Motor Vehicle Service Repair in the Commercial 2 zoning district. A, proposed project addresses or is consistent with neighborhood or town need. Gregory Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Vehicular traffic flow, access, and parking and pedestrian safety are properly addressed. Gregory Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Public roadways, drainage, utilities, and other infrastructure are adequate or will be upgraded to accommodate development. Gregory Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Neighborhood character and social structure will not be negatively impacted. Gregory Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Project will not destroy or cause substantial damage to any environmentally significant natural resource, habitat, or feature, or, if it will, proposed mitigation, remediation, replication, or compensatory measures are adequate. Gregory Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Number, height, bulk, location, and siting of buildings and structures will not result in abutting properties being deprived of light or fresh air circulation or being exposed to flooding or subjected to excessive noise, odor, light, vibrations, or airborne particulates. Gregory Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. Water consumption and sewer use, taking into consideration current and projected future local water supply and demand and wastewater treatment capacity, will not be excessive. Gregory Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes. And the proposed use will not have adverse effects which overbalance its beneficial effects on either the neighborhood or the town in view of the particular characteristics of the site and in the proposal in relation to the site. Gregory Rondo,
Yes.
Rick Power,
Yes.
William David,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams,
Yes.
Beth Whirling, yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Have a good
Thank
day.
you, good luck. Anybody have any questions or comments? No? Make a, whoop. Oh. Amy, I'm sorry, Amy does.
Any updates, if you don't mind?
Sure.
I just want to let, I think it might have been a few months ago that I presented in front of general business to the board, a friendly bee process when applications come through, trying to give planning board, conservation, town council, some input on the applications that come through. So we did get our first application at 121 Grove Street, which I will add to the next planning board meeting under general business for the board members to have a discussion, review. Hopefully an outcome would result in a letter that would be sent to the zoning board of appeals and town council with any recommendations, changes to those boards. The applicant will be present as well to answer any questions that the board may have with their application. So that's the first one coming through.
There we go. Okay, good.
That's all I have.
Okay, Mike, you have anything? No? Okay. Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.